This couple of sonnets, they come from this sequence that I worked on for about 4 or 5 years. It was difficult getting the rhymes together, and but I think the rhymes, working on the rhymes and placing that kind of constraint on myself, forced me to dig deeper into the idea of what the markets mean, what kind that kind of a being attraction we have for bazaar or market, that sense of being drawn into the crowds and looking for something that maybe that's meant to find us. So the poems are about desire, about wanting, and about shopping, I guess. So it begins in Sydney, in this market called the Glebe Markets. Okay, so Glebe. And the title To Markets was actually inspired by an episode of MASH, in which well, Hawkeye and Trapper, they're trying to kind of track down these black marketeers and was stealing goods from the MASH unit. So, okay, To Markets. It's Saturday, and the stubborn schoolyard is packed with stalls, nomad ears converging for trade, the trestle tables unsprung, the wares displayed, to be desiring, to want, to want. You tag along with the procession, wired to a need that will pass you on to another want. From store to store you travel, your eyes scan the language of goods, the faces you read, herbs and scents you sniff, cadences heard in markets elsewhere, the queue of bazaars, Siam, Cairo, Marrakesh, back to your childhood where on Tuesday, the night bazaar, the stores stretch far along the street and you're holding your father's hand, the world before you, and you don't want it to end. So the first line of the following poem kind of picks up the last line of the previous poem, so it's a kind of corona effect, and so I wanted that to hold the sequence together. Change alley. The world before, and you don't want it to end. The bustling bazaar rife with promise, spiced with the names of who you will become. Weekend in the change alley, and you're keeping pace with your father's limping gait. And the giddy train of stores and faces are your first atlas, intimating worlds out there, and you're certain your father will stay for good, that you will hold him from his errant ways and help him lose his debts, his woes in this current of barter. The queue of vendors and shoppers, the dead years unrolled into stores alive with souvenirs and silks, suits tailor-made overnight, bootleg cassettes unveiling the soundtrack to our walk into the future, the dazzle at the alley's end. At the alley's back. Kuala Lumpur. Fresh out the army, the future dazzle. Your first solo trip to Kuala Lumpur. You wander into Chinatown at nightfall and are sucked into the human flow, past the fake Gucci's, the Rolexes, the brands, an empire of signs unreeling. You sense a whiff of the real, enthralled to the face and mind of one in the hostel who that morning recited her log of 2 years on the road. You float on the river of bodies from store to store, riding the currents to something beyond the 2.5 years trudging up and down the hills, toting gun and pack, to the lone traveler leaving or arriving as the first light breaks on the vanished stores. So the next poem is No More, which is the last poem in the collection, and it's a middle-aged poem, and I guess it's just about exhaustion and not knowing how to carry on. Well, it's the kind of coming to terms with middle age. No more. No more wandering up and down the mountain, looking for the herb that tastes like meaning. No more the toil of work and the pain of no work. No more missing the boat and hearing the empty slab of water on the pier, or chasing the departing bus or train. No more reading the constellations on your palm. No more plotting itineraries. No more stops en route to somewhere else. No more India, change rupee or chai in clay cups. No more noodles or kebabs at fly-blown truck stops. No more waiting for the mountains to appear. No more retching and lunging toilet runs. No more nights in the airport lounge. No more camera clicking, wandering with or without maps. No more coming home as to a death sentence. No more leaving after this leaving. And finally, I'll read a couple of lyrics from this suite called The Disappearing Suite, and it's a sequence of lyric kind of images that I that kind of matured or grew over the years around the idea of disappearance. I mean, as a migrant, you know, kind of watch things disappear in the place that you left behind, friends, family, and places you loved, and also they leave kind of gaping holes in your life, and that idea of disappearance has kind of haunted me very much in the last few years, and so here's the result. The disappearing suite. They hover on the edges, their voices haunting the blue hour, when the tide of memory recedes and forgetfulness returns, washing over the ash prints of your passing, so faint, yet so fresh, you can't tell if the moment is disappearing or about to happen. If something is being written or erased, your body still alive with the touch, the echo of your breath, their absence a faint shiver in the curtain, and you wait in the silence between words, between forgetting and remembering. Between pages, books, stations, between one life and the next, the list of the disappeared grows. A book writing itself, a ledger bulging with absences, a map where the empty quarter spreads, advancing sands, erasing the traces of the disappeared. And you're on a flow, shrinking with each vanishing, each phase and place sunk in your Atlantis. And you make of the empty page an arc, a craft you shape with the words they left you, and load all the absences onto its leaking hull. Is that enough?